All right, before we wrap up the show, let's talk about some fantasy impact players this week going into week 9 for your fantasy teams here. I want to start at the quarterback position, honestly. Trevor Lawrence really played fantastic this past weekend. Threw for 308 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now, the only concern with him, if you do have him on your team, is that it's going to be relying upon the health of Brian Thomas Jr. and Christian Kirk, guys suffering injuries at this point. But he's still worth a start if you need him to go in there for him, because he's steadily improving over the last couple games, right? We've seen that, right? Now he started off not too hot, but he's gotten kind of hot here in the last couple weeks, so he's definitely worth the start. Next guy is Braelon Allen for the New York Jets. Now, I get it. Jets are not a good football team, but if you need him, and I think Brees Hall may miss some time, perhaps, maybe, and if he does, Braelon Allen is going to get a lot of touches, and they need to continue running the ball with him. So if you do have him on your bench, you may want to inject him in there. I'm not going to say he's going to go out and just go crazy, because he still has to share a backfield, but for whatever reason, if Brees Hall does miss some time, I think Braelon Hall might be a guy that you want to slide in there for yourself. Wide receiver Cedric Tillman of the Cleveland Browns. We all know what he did this past weekend in fantasy. He scored 28 points. 28 points, 99 yards, and 2 touchdowns this past weekend over the Ravens. With Jameson Winston in the lineup, it makes his chances a whole lot better. Now, I know a lot of Jerry Jeudy fans out there probably say, oh, well, Jerry Jeudy's still a guy. No, he's not. This guy is going to be the guy that they're going to be going to a lot more than Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy just has not lived up to his potential, whether it's from Denver or coming over to Cleveland. So I really like Cedric Tillman. If you do have him, you better continue to start him and keep him in your lineup. Elijah Moore, another receiver from the Cleveland Browns, also benefiting from Jameis Winston pushing the ball down the field. He caught 8 passes, and he got targeted 12 times this past weekend. So that's good. 12 targets is a lot. So you want to kind of continue to see that as they move on week to week, as Jameis gets kind of more comfortable with the offense. So he's definitely worth considering if he's available out there, especially in the free agency or maybe a possible trade before the trade deadline hits. And then Keon Coleman. 2 games in a row now where he's looking pretty good. This week, he got 5 receptions, 70 yards, and a touchdown over Seattle. I think having Amari Cooper on the other side really helps him open up the field. He's not a burner. He's not going to beat you fast, but he's a big body out there. He's a good goal line, red zone threat down there. He's hard to take down, super athletic. He's a former basketball player, actually, from Michigan State when he was there. So definitely a guy that you want to consider if you have him. Please start him this past week. And as far as the last pass catchers, Mike Gesicki, tight end from the Cincinnati Bengals, with T. Higgins being absent. I'm not sure of his status going into this week. I think Gesicki will probably get a little bit more targets from Joe Burrow. He caught seven passes on 8 targets this past week against the Eagles for 73 yards. So definitely a guy that you might want to kind of consider out there if you're in a pinch for a tight end, if you can go out and get him, or if you have him on your team, go ahead and start him. So there you have it. Those are my fantasy impacts this week going into week 9. Check them out